Hello friends, we were studying Coleridge's poem Christabel Part 1. We had finished the 10th stanza and now we shall start with the 11th stanza. This is Geraldine's speech. Geraldine speaks like this. My sire is of a noble line and my name is Geraldine. 5 warriors seized me yestermorn, me, even me, a maid forlorn. They choked my cries with force and fright, and tried me on palfrey white. The palfrey was as fleet as wind, and they rode furiously behind. Geraldine says that her father is a noble, means of an aristocratic family, and she told her name, and she told her that the previous morning, 5 warriors, means strong and stout youth, got hold of her, and she was a girl in distress, in difficulty, and they stopped her cries. She was crying. They used all force and they frightened her, and they were riding on a palfrey horse, and it was running as fast as the wind, and they rode furiously behind, means they were very angry and they were riding on other horses. 12th stanza. They spurred amain, their steeds were white, and once we crossed the shade of night, as sure as heaven shall rescue me, I have no thought what men they be, nor do I know how long it is, for I have lain entranced, I wish, since one, the tallest of the 5, took me by the palfrey's back, a weary woman, scarce alive. Some muttered words his comrades spoke. He placed me underneath this oak. He swore they would return with haste. Whither they went, I cannot tell. I thought I heard, some minutes past, sounds of a castle bell. Stretch forth thy hand. Thus ended she, and help a wretched maid to flee. So, Geraldine tells her that she is wretched, means helpless. So please help me escape from those 5 warriors who had abducted her. The warriors had given speed to their horses. Their horses were white, and they were running on the roads, and she was sure that God is going to rescue her, save her, and she does not have any idea what type of men they were, and she even does not know how long it has been, because she was mostly entranced, means unconscious, and the tallest of them, he took her away from the horse's back and put her here under this oak. And there was also a woman who was very tired, and he was nearly dead, and she muttered some words, and so she was put here under this oak tree, and they also promised to return very fast, but now so far they haven't returned, and she had heard the bell of the castle, so she is afraid, and therefore she requests Christabel to help her. The next stanza. Then Christabel stretched forth her hand and comforted fair Geraldine. O well, bright dame, may you command the service of Sir Leoline, and gladly our stout chivalry will he send forth, and friends withal, to guide and guard you safe and free home to your noble father's hall. So Christabel assures her, she gives out her hand to Geraldine, and gives solace to Geraldine, and she says, "Oh, brilliant girl, you will get the service of my father, who is Sir Leoline, and in the morning we will send our brave soldiers to help you, and we will send safely to your father's court." Next stanza. She rose, and forth with steps they passed, that strove to be and were not fast. Her gracious stars the lady blessed, and thus spake on sweet Christabel, "Our household are at rest, the hall as silent as the cell. Sir Leoline is weak in health, and may not well awakened be, and we will move as if in stealth, and I beseech your courtesy this night to share your couch with me." So in this way, Geraldine rose up, and with fast steps they were walking, and they tried to walk fast, and Christabel was lucky, and she spoke like that to Geraldine, that all her family members now, because it is night, so they are taking rest, and the hall is very silent, as if it is a grave, and her father Sir Leoline is weak and old, and so it is not proper, it's not fit to awaken him at night, and so they will walk very softly and very stealthily. So she requests Geraldine to share her bed with her at night, because at night they could not arrange a separate bed for her. Next stanza. They crossed the moat, said, and Christabel took the key that fitted well. A little door she opened straight, all in the middle of the gate. The gate was iron within and without, where an army of battle array had marched out. The lady sank belike through pain, and Christabel with might and main lifted her up a weary weight over the threshold of the gate. Then the lady rose again and moved as she were not in pain. So moat is the is outside a castle or outside a fort. It is a type of gap between the mainland and the castle, and in between there is something like a canal, so that in case of war the bridge of the moat can be removed and the enemy cannot enter. So that is called moat. And Christabel took the key and she opened the gate, and it was a gate of iron, and it was locked from inside and outside, because it was a castle. So naturally many times armies may have come in and went out, but this Geraldine sank down, because it is believed that the evil souls, they are afraid of the iron, so she fell down. But Christabel, with all her power, she lifted her up, and she made her cross the gate on her shoulders. And when she had crossed the iron gate, this Geraldine rose again, and she moved as if she did not have any pain. Next stanza. So free from danger, free from fear, they crossed the court, right glad they were, and Christabel devoutly cried to the lady by her side, praise we the Virgin all divine, who hath rescued thee from distress. Alas, alas, said Geraldine, I cannot speak for weariness. So free from danger, free from fear, they crossed the court, right glad they were. So now, because Geraldine had crossed the iron gate, so now she did not have any fear, and they crossed the court. Because he was a nobleman, so it is naturally that when it is a big fort or castle, things like that, then that noble will have a court also. And so they were both happy, and Christabel was very happy, and she said to her that, okay, we praise Mother Virgin, that is mother of Jesus, all God, all divine powers, who have rescued you from your distress, from your trouble, because she had been abducted. And Geraldine said, "Oh, very sad. I am tired and I cannot speak, but okay, I am free from danger and I am free from fear." And they crossed the court and they were both of them happy. Next stanza. Outside her kennel, the mastiff old lay fast asleep in moonshine cold. The mastiff old did not awake, yet she an angry moan did make. And what can ail the mastiff bitch? Never till now she uttered yell. Beneath the eye of Christabel, perhaps it is the owlet's scritch. For what can ail the old mastiff bitch? As they were passing the court, as we had learnt in the last lecture, that there was an old bitch. So she was lying there in the moonshine and it was very cold. So Mastiff did not get up, but yet, sleepily she made a very angry sound, and Christabel could not know why the bitch was making noise, because she did not behave like this in front of Christabel. So Christabel guessed that, okay, probably a little owl may have made some noise, and that is why the bitch has made noise. But we are given to understand that the dogs are aware and alert when there are evil spirits around. So probably Mastiff's cry or howl was suggesting that the lady who was accompanying Christabel was probably an evil spirit. They passed the hall, the next stanza. They passed the hall that echoes still, pass as lightly as you will. The brands were flat, the brands were dying, amid their own white ashes lying. But when the lady passed, there came a tongue of light, a fit of flame, and Christabel saw the lady's eye, and nothing else saw she thereby, save the boss of the shield of Sir Leoline tall, which hung in a murky old niche in the wall. "Oh, softly tread," said Christabel, "my father seldom sleepeth well." So they were passing the hall, and because the hall was silent, so even their feet were echoing, their footsteps were making noise. So Christabel requests Geraldine to walk as softly, without noise and stealthily, and as they were passing, there was light, and Christabel saw the eyes of the lady, but she could not see anything in the eyes of Geraldine, and there was the picture of Leoline, which was hanging in a dark old corner of the wall. And Christabel again requests to walk softly without making a noise, because noise might disturb her father's sleep. Next stanza. Sweet Christabel her feet doth bear, and jealous of the listening air, they steal their way from stair to stair, now in glimmer and now in gloom, and now they pass the Baron's room as still as death, with stifled breath, and now have reached her chamber door, and now doth Geraldine press down the rushes of the chamber floor. So after crossing the court, now they are passing the chamber of the Baron, means Christabel's father, and they are walking up through the stairs, and they are walking very softly. They are not making any noise. Now they are in shining, now they are in dark, and they are passing through the Baron's room, but they are not making noise. They are as silent as death, means they are not making a noise. Even their breaths are stifled, means they are not taking deep breaths lest they should awake the Baron. And as they enter Christabel's chamber, Geraldine lies down on the floor. The moon, next stanza. The moon shines dim in the open air, and now and not a moonbeam enters here, but they without its light can see the chamber carved so curiously, carved with figures strange and sweet, all made out all made out of the carver's brain. For a lady's chamber meet, the lamp with the twofold silver chain is fastened to an angel's feet. So this stanza explains the beauty of Christabel's chamber. The moonlight is not directly in the chamber of Christabel, but whatever moonlight is reflected, they can see clearly, and the chamber is carved so beautifully, so imaginatively by the artists, and it suits the taste of a lady. And the lamp is hanging from a silver chain which is tied to an angel's feet, means there may be a picture of an angel or something like that. From this the lamp is hanging. Next stanza, 23rd stanza, after which I will stop for today. The silver lamp burns dead and dim, but Christabel the lamp will trim, and trimmed the lamp and made it bright, and left it swinging to and fro, while Geraldine in wretched plight sank down upon the floor below. So the lamp was very dim. Dead and dim means it was not bright. So in old days they burnt the lamps of kerosene, and so there was a cloth burning in it. So she trimmed the cloth to make the lamp bright, and the lamp was swinging because it was hanging with the help of the chains. And Christabel was, very helpless, very in a bad condition, and she sank down on the floor because she was not comfortable with light. Thank you, friends. We shall finish the poem in the next lecture, which is the lecture number 3. Thank you.